Imagine looking at your financial life over several years and noticing that despite consistent effort, steady income, and even occasional increases in earnings, your overall position feels largely unchanged, not in a dramatic sense, but in a quiet, persistent way where progress seems to move forward on paper, yet remains strangely absent in experience. And this creates a subtle tension because the expectation is that more input should naturally produce more output. Yet the reality does not fully align with that expectation. This is where the concept of a financial stagnation begins to reveal itself, not as a lack of movement, but as a system where movement exists without meaningful change, where inputs and outputs are structured in such a way that growth becomes absorbed by the very system that is supposed to benefit from it. And understanding this requires a stepping away from individual transactions and looking at the underlying mechanics that govern how money flows over time. At its core, financial stagnation is not about how much is earned, but about how the relationship between income, expenses, and time is structured, because when income increases, there is often a corresponding expansion in expenses, not necessarily through large decisions, but through gradual adjustments that redefine what is considered normal, and these adjustments accumulate until they form a new baseline that requires continuous maintenance. From a mathematical perspective, this creates a pattern where income and expenses grow in parallel rather than independently, and when this happens, the gap between them, which represents the potential for accumulation, remains relatively constant, meaning that even as the absolute numbers increase, the relative position does not change significantly, creating the appearance of growth without the substance of it. This parallel growth can be understood as a form of equilibrium, where the system naturally adjusts to maintain balance. And while balance may sound unstable, in this context, it limits upward movement because any increase in one variable is matched by an increase in another, effectively neutralizing the impact of progress over time. Psychologically, this pattern is reinforced by adaptation, where higher levels of income quickly become normalized, reducing their perceived impact and encouraging corresponding increases in the spending, often without deliberate intention, which makes it difficult to maintain a consistent gap between what is earned and what is used. Over time, this leads to a situation where financial effort becomes linear, meaning that each additional unit of effort produces a predictable but limited increase in income, while the system surrounding that income continues to expand, absorbing the gains and maintaining the same relative position. And this is where the sense of a stagnation becomes most noticeable. On a broader level, many economic structures are built in a way that supports this pattern, offering incremental upgrades, conveniences, and lifestyle enhancements that align with rising income levels, making it easy to convert additional earnings into additional consumption without experiencing resistance, which reinforces the cycle further. As this system continues, the cost of maintaining a certain level of living becomes more complex, composed of multiple recurring elements that together form a stable but demanding a structure, and this structure requires consistent input to sustain, leaving little room for deviation without noticeable impact. The key shift begins with recognizing that the stagnation is not a result of insufficient effort, but of a system that scales alongside that effort. And once this becomes visible, it changes how financial decisions are evaluated. moving the focus from increasing income alone to managing the relationship between income and expenses more deliberately. Even small changes in how this relationship is structured can alter the trajectory over time because they affect the gap between what is earned and what is retained. And this gap is where long-term change originates, not from the size of income itself, but from the portion of it that remains unabsorbed by the system. By understanding the math behind financial stagnation, it becomes possible to see why progress can feel limited despite increased effort, and more importantly, how adjusting the structure of the system can gradually shift that outcome, not through sudden changes, but through consistent alignment between income, expenses, and long-term direction.